But also, you need to get rid of these really corrupting financial entanglements between the pharmaceutical industry and the regulatory agencies that has put agency capture on steroids. For example, almost 50% of FDA's budget comes from pharmaceutical companies. They're not working for us. They're working for the pharmaceutical company. With CDC has a $12 billion budget, and about almost $5 billion of that goes to buying vaccines in sweetheart deals from these 4 companies and then promoting them to the public. And so they're really partners with the pharmaceutical industry in the way that you get a promotion at CDC and the way you get recognition and salary increases and good performance reviews is by increasing vaccine uptake, not by finding problems with vaccines. And it's a really bad, it's no longer serving as a regulatory agency. NIH has probably even the worst. If you work at NIH and you work on a vaccine or other medical product, you are allowed to actually to pocket royalties from that product. So any product that you work on, you can collect royalties on. You can collect royalties that are now capped at $150,000 a year for life, forever, not just life, but for your children's lives, et cetera. As long as that product's sold, you have margin rights for the patent. If you worked on it at NIH, so the Moderna vaccine, which is half owned by NIH, which means NIH will get half billions and billions of dollars from the sales of that vaccine, which they made, they're promoting. They're telling everybody you need to get this. But also there's either 4 or 6 individuals who were Anthony Fauci's direct deputies who themselves are collecting $150,000 a year for life, forever, from that product. So that the mercantile interests in making, those are people who are not going to find problems with the product because they're paying for their boats, they're paying for their mortgages, they're paying for their kids' education. I'm making sure that as many of those vaccines are sold as possible. So let's make kids take them, even though there's no data that show they help kids. Let's make pregnant women take them. Make everybody take them because they're cashing in on it. And that the mercantile, ambitions have completely subsumed the regulatory function of those agencies, and that has to end. One of the things that we need to do, too, is to get rid of pharmaceutical advertising on television. There's only 2 countries in the world that allow it. One is New Zealand. The other is our country. Everybody who is knowledgeable is against it. It not only has compromised public health. We take, largely because of that advertising, we take 3 or 4 times the amount of drugs as Europeans take. And drugs are the number 3 killer in our country. Pharmaceutical drugs, the number 3 killer after cancer and heart attacks. They're not making us healthier. We spend more on healthcare, $4.3 trillion, than any country in the world, and we have the worst health impacts. We're behind like Mongolia, Costa Rica, Cuba in terms of our health outcomes. All of these drugs, the pharmaceutical industry is not making us safer. It's not making us healthier. And, we changed the rule in 1997. Prior to 1997, like cigarettes and liquor, you couldn't advertise on TV. We changed those rules, and FDA allowed the pharmaceutical companies to advertise, and they not only now have a platform from which they can tell everybody you're sick, you need this, you need that, but also they are able to dictate content on television. So they can dictate content on the, on the local
and
news.
On YouTube.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. That's a terrifying thing, and it's so deeply interwoven. The question that I would have to you is how do you untangle that?
You do one of these things at a time, and I'm going to go in there and do it. I'm going to issue an executive order on day 1 saying there's no more advertising on TV. Now, FDA needs to implement that through the regulatory process, but I also know how the regulatory process works, and I know how to hasten it. I know how to make it I'm looking forward to doing this. I'm looking forward to telling FDA you're not taking pharma money anymore. You
All
can't
these
do it.
controversial opinions that you have you had anyone debate you publicly about any of these?
Nobody will debate me. For 18 years, nobody will debate me.